All right, today we're going to take a look at the pay you can get in working in technology, different career options, and the kinds of things that are there. This always kind of gets some of my students fired up, like I'm telling them what to do or that their plans stink. They really need to change. That's not what I'm doing. I do this presentation because honestly, people are just not aware of what's really out there, and most students aren't aware that mm, statistically speaking, 8% of you are going to go into technology, whether or not you think you are or not. And that's because there's a real difference in between what people think technology is and what it actually is, right? The movies portray that person that's always got thicker glasses than I do, and they sit over in the dark room and they know this magical stuff, and they slam a bunch of keys and they're almost through the fifth firewall, and of course that's all a bunch of crap. That's like actually thinking that the nursing shows you see on TV are real, right? That stuff happens, and it's like that's not what happens. I've been to hospital and had to see a lot of sick people, and then it's not anywhere near what it shows on TV. It's one of those weird things, right? We know TV is not real. We know it's not real, but we want to believe it is, I guess. So let me give you an example. For example, somebody that goes into mathematics, that goes into accounting, that becomes something in business, they're going to use computers as much or more than somebody that actually goes into networking or tech support or lots of different things that are out there. And people don't think that. They think, well, if it's a job that fits under the head of computers, then obviously you're just going to work with computers all the time and never do anything else. And it's like, that's not true. And for the most part, they're not spending any more time on computers than anybody else is. For instance, later on, if your job has to do with a lot of stuff that's in the data system, for instance, we have people here that have to help you register, counselors that help you understand what you need to do while you're here. They use computers more than I do, and I teach this stuff. And so there's a real misconception in people's minds about really what it takes to do the job and then what the job actually is. Now, I'm going to tell you the honest truth is that you want to find a job where you can sit on a lonely mountain, and as long as you have an internet connection, you can do your work. Those are there. They're just very hard to find. And what I did customer services, working with people all the time. That was the main thing I had to do, which got me my next job in networking and systems admin. And that's what I was doing there too. You're dealing with the people that need to access the information, right? So you need to know, what do they want? How do they want to see that? And so your ability to take computer information and mold it into something that somebody else can understand is really valuable. And I mention that because I will have some students that will blow through this course. It's a piece of cake to them. It's not hard. And I'm like, you really need to think about picking up more computer classes, because that kind of skill will get you more money. And they just think, oh no, you just want to make me this computer person. I'm like, someday you'll get it. Someday you'll be at work and you'll be the smarty pants on whatever system that you're using. And they'll basically say, we'll give you 10, 15,000 more to do that. And then you'll realize, wow, I'm not working on this computer system all day, no more than they are. And I can make 10,000 more than them, and we're working on computers the same amount. Wow, I'll do it. Yeah. So there's a real misconception. So what I'm going to do is just expose you to some of the things that are out there. And then of course the question is, and I do have people do very poorly on this, you need to tell me what you think you would fit in. And so why people do it poorly is they're like, I don't give a crap, and they don't listen to anything that's being said in this short little video. And so then they get a poor grade. Or they're just really ornery about it, right? It's like, I'm not going to do computer stuff and you won't make me consider it. I'm like, okay, well, poor grade then. So let's just, be a little more open. All right. So occupations in computing, like what can we get here? So information technology, how much does an IT technician make in the United States? Now, an IT technician, that's somebody that's going to just be dealing with a lot of technical stuff that has to do with networking and PCs and all sorts of, I would basically say it would be If I was looking at how it'd go, you'd go customer service and then IT technician would be above that. There's a huge demand for people in technology. I haven't included it in on the slides, but basically in each one of these areas, there's at least 100,000 unfilled jobs. And so they need people mucho, right? So the average pay for this is 75,000. What would they do? Most of the time they're going to be helping people. They've got to have that technical ability to understand how a network is functioning, what might be wrong and why something's not happening. Like I can't pull up that website, my data doesn't look correct. There's tons of different things, but they get 75 on average. Phoenix, Arizona, you're looking at 60. So that's why I've got that there. You're looking about 60,000 as the average for that. And that is more like a job that you would not step straight into. So you wouldn't necessarily go straight out of college and get that. You would have something before that, and we'll see what those are like. But you probably paid like 45, 50,000. And then within a couple of years you could get this job. Like as I said in one of my other videos, it happens very quickly. I always tell my students that are actually in the stuff, you know what, you're not getting paid what you want, go get a job someplace else because somebody will pay you more for the knowledge and skills that you have when you're in technology. Now, this one's a little low. If you actually look, I pulled this off of Glassdoor. I believe I pulled that off of. Anyway, look at these, right? These are the people that are hiring. Epic Games pays 142. Citibank pays 114. General Dynamics Information Technology pays 100. And then this is like something in here is skewing that result because usually programmers get paid at least this at the low end. So again, you may start in a job for your first couple of years and make 45, 50,000, but there's plenty of places after you get a couple of years experience where you're going to make 60. And there's so many different kinds of programming, right? There's so much. There's web design and development, there's desktop programming, there's app development, there's just so much out there. It's a huge in demand field and always will be. It is one of those things that you really need to think about. So, getting on to something that's a little more personal for you, the things that really affect what make people happy are being able to be part of a team, being able to provide a solution, being able to provide for their family. And so, when you come out of high school and you go into, getting a career and trying to be trained, it's confusing. Hey, I was there. Every teacher you have was there at one time. They know how confusing that is. And especially when I was young, we didn't have the internet to even look up careers and what they were. You can search on any of these and see detailed information about what they do. We didn't have any of that. But still today, people will go, what am I going to be? A firefighter? Can I become an astronaut? Police? Nursing? A doctor? Lawyer? Right? There's like 10 things, maybe 15 that people put on their list and say that's what I could do because that's what they see on TV. They don't realize there's hundreds and hundreds of different types of jobs and then the little differences within those jobs. And a lot of students, I'm going to be honest with you, once they get out and they realize how dynamic whatever the area is that they're going into, they're like, man, wish I would have known this. And something else, they wish they would have known that really what makes them happy is knowing that what they're doing is contributing to something, right? I love to teach, not just because I love technology, but because I know I'm teaching the skills and giving the information needed to students who will benefit from that. And that brings me great satisfaction. What I did before didn't bring me as much satisfaction, but it brought me a lot of satisfaction, making sure that all those systems were functioning and that people understood what was happening and they knew they could come to me and say, hey, I need your help. And I'd help them out. That was incredibly rewarding. And so you kind of have to broaden your mind out and realize that what is going to make you happy in your career is a lot different than what you think it is. And one of those things is salary. I mean, I could, right? I could make much more than what I'm making as an instructor by using my technical skills. And so for me, it's like, right, it's that, what do I do? Well, I love teaching you more than I love getting potentially double the money, right? And so that's what I do. For other people, it's not that way. For other people, like my brother-in-law, he's a doctor. he really didn't care what he did, as long as he could make enough money to do what he wanted to do with his family whenever they wanted to do it. So he doesn't mind the long hours. He doesn't mind the atrocious interest, rates on insurance and stuff like that. Anyway, this is programming continued. There's a bunch of, just want to show you the different averages. So here's the 22 salaries reported on this particular site, and that would be the average per year that they make. And I'm actually going to pull up some websites so you can see it. So there's a web developer, which again, very close to what a programmer is doing, basically the same thing, just with web technologies. And if you're like, well, what does that really entail? Well, think of IMDb. Think of any website that you really, really love. Most people love Amazon. Who's doing that? Programmers and web developers are making that happen. Right? And they're making a lot more than 76, I'll tell you that. Data architects. So this is a huge thing. If you're really good with a program in here that's called Access that you'll get to do, it's a database systems. Everything runs off of databases, right? Your student information is kept in a database. Amazon, huge portion of that's a database system. Nobody ever thinks about going into database systems, becoming a data architect, because it's like, that sounds really boring, right? That's what they think. And then they go out there and again, they end up being the person that's good with the data system, and they end up making this kind of money, whoops, because they're good with the data system, not because they went to school for it, actually. And so there is a lot of good paying jobs out there. Security, of course, is a big deal. Some of the biggest, highest paying jobs out there are from the government, because we're getting hacked by Russia and China and all these places. And this is like the next level up from networking. So you're taking that person and saying, now I know a lot more about how to keep the network secure and how you keep programming secure, because you have to program securely as well. And so they make a lot of money doing that. You can see that from there. Now, I included this because this is US Department of Labor. In other words, this is where the government goes out and says, where are the jobs going to be in the next 15 years? And you'll see software developers, computer support specialists, computer systems analysts. These people really have to, they have to be people. They really got to be the people persons, because they have to be the person that can explain and also fix, and then also get told how that should work, and very people oriented there. Anyway, there's some others that you may look at. For instance, you're really good at English and you're like, man, I'm going to get an English degree because I love it. Well, you can actually make quite a bit of money as a tech writer, right? That's the average low, and then that's the average high. Somebody has to write that stuff up. So it's not the developers on Amazon that are putting all that stuff in. It's, if you go to office.com right now, that's Microsoft Office's help site and everything site. It is somebody that has the ability to put words together and put it together well, has to be able to do that. And that's a tech writer, right? And so there's that as well to look at. This comes from some K-12 information, trying to let high school students know where the jobs are at these days. Let me pull up a site. I got to move this. So I'm going to go to usajobs.gov. And what is that? Well, what that is, got to spell things right, is it's where, well, that's not nice. Oh, I forgot the A. That's just US jobs, usajobs.gov. This is where basically any contractor or any federal government employment opportunity exists here. So I'm just going to search for, let's put in IT administrator. Or IT administration, that should work. Yeah, so here's a specialist, customer support. Here's IT specialist, systems administration. We're going to do that one. And so this, I haven't put in a location, so it's searching all across the US for these. And I just wanted to show you, this is viewing one of 25 of 3,336 jobs just with federal government agencies alone. And you can see right here what they make. These are real jobs. This is not, oh, McBride showed us some statistics like a lot of other people do as well. These are real jobs. And any of these are open to anybody. So while it may say, right, National Air Guard units or US Army Cyber Command, that doesn't mean you actually have to be an Army person to get this job. You just have to be a person that can do it. And look at the pay on those jobs. IT specialists or information technology specialists, all of them are pretty much over $70,000, most of them over $100,000. And then if you really wanted to know more, for instance, this is the Executive Office for the US Attorney. That sounds cool. So let's actually look at what that is. I don't want to give you my feedback. Right. So there's one vacancy, and then here you go. Here's the summary of jobs. Here's your responsibilities. Is travel required? It's all there. Now, USA Jobs is not just for tech things. So you can go there and look up whatever you want. I just wanted to show you that, hey, this is real stuff. They won't have as many web designers, at least I don't think they will. Senior web strategist, like doing that kind of thing, that's totally business related. You're dealing with tons of people. Even web designers are dealing with tons of people. Right, so let's see that. We don't want both of them, we just want one of them. So that's the only one that's mentioning it, and that's in South Korea. So I don't know if I want to go there for 73,000. So they shouldn't have a bunch of those web designer ones because that's just not as in demand as something more general. But anyway, come and check this out. Let's look at data analyst right there. This is a big thing these days. So here's data analysts for the Food and Drug Administration, National Archives, Develop Finance Corporation, right? All these, right? And so why am I actually pointing out like, hey, this is Finance Corporation? Because that's where that's like your impetus. That's what you're dealing with, overseas private investment corporations. So while the data analyst is actually looking at data and trying to figure out what it really means, it takes a lot of communication. I keep trying to get students to recognize this kind of stuff and take advantage of it, because it really will be later in your life that you realize, oh, there's that data analyst. I could have been one of those, and he's making 3 times more than me. And look, they pretty much do the same thing. Huh. Yeah. So think about it. Think about it. And again, USA Jobs is a great place. You can come in here and take a look at what is it? What would I actually do? All that stuff. All right, so that is it for careers. If I can get this to come up. Good to see you again. Answer those questions, get a good grade on it, spend the time to make it right.